critical missing person is sending alerts throughout Ohio University. Good evening, I'm Haley Hollinger.
And I'm Morgan Anderson. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio.
Ohio University police are asking for the public's help in locating an 18-year-old student. You're looking at a picture of that student, Matthew Wallace. The university sent out alerts throughout the day asking anyone with information on Wallace to call them. Just after 5 p.m. today, campus police confirmed Wallace arrived in Columbus via GO bus on Monday night. Wallace is 6'1", 170 pounds, and has brown hair and eyes. He was last seen in a maroon hoodie, dark blue jeans, and black Birkenstocks. University police say no foul play is suspected, but they're concerned for his well-being. OUPD is coordinating with law enforcement in Columbus to continue the search, but police are still asking for the public's help. Anyone with information should call OUPD at 740-593-1911. Happening right now, the Athens County League of Women Voters is hosting 3 separate forums across the county. Last night, the league hosted a public debate featuring the candidates running in the race for Athens mayor. Newswatch reporter Jack Green has a recap of last night's forum.
Around a dozen people were at the Athens Community Center for a forum between Mayor Steve Patterson and Damon Crane. The two men were asked questions on how they would shape Athens for the next 4 years. When it came to working across the political aisle, Patterson says he wants to meet people where they are.
I view the role of the mayor is to reach out to all sectors within your community and engage with them, establish relationships, help have our whole population help serve problems that are going on, but doing it in a civil way.
Crane says students need to be included in the conversation.
86% of our community is totally alienated from the public life of our community. Right now, the portion of our community that is actually included in public life is minuscule. So, if we want to talk about bringing people together, we've got to get past that. That's my priority.
Both men were also asked how they would improve living conditions in Athens. Patterson says he is focusing on more accessible housing, while Crane suggests shifting some of the city's resources.
We're losing faculty, we're losing staff, we're losing people who want to live here because we don't have enough housing stock.
I think we can certainly afford to shift some of the money we're spending on policing and move it to other things to improve the lives of community members.
Whoever wins in November will serve as mayor until 2027. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jack Green in Athens.
That was Newswatch reporter Jack Green, and for those forums that are happening right now, a forum between candidates running for Trimble Local School Board began a couple of minutes ago at Trimble High School. At 7, people running for Alexander Local School Board will answer questions at Alexander High School. At 7:45, candidates for Gloucester Mayor will hold a forum at Trimble High School.
Good evening. Behind me, we are taking a look at College Green. Absolutely beautiful day. We've had a lot of activity around campus earlier. Things are starting to set up for homecoming this weekend, and right now we're seeing partly cloudy skies. Actually, it's about clear now. We've seen partly cloudy skies throughout the day, and right now about 85 degrees, so really on the warm side of things. And all across the southeast Ohio region, we're seeing very similar temperatures. Up in Newark, it's 85, Columbus 86, Lancaster and Zanesville a little cooler, about 83, but still up in the 80s. It doesn't really feel like fall. And a lot of the reason that we're seeing temperatures so high is due to this high pressure that's really been sitting over to the east over Ohio for these past couple of days. Now, since we've had all this high pressure, it's allowed a lot of clearing to go on, allowing for a lot of that sun to come in and really warm everything up and keep things warm throughout the week. But if we take a look at what's going on out west, we're starting to see a cold front and a low pressure system really start to develop and really take a lot of shape. And here's right where that that cold front sitting right along, producing a little bit of rain, a lot going on in Oklahoma. And fortunately for us, we're not anticipating any severe weather. We're just anticipating a lot of these clouds to start to move in the next day or so, and even some rain on Friday. Tonight, we're going to see an overnight low of 60, so a little bit warmer since we have these partly cloudy skies. Those clouds act as a layer of insulation, so all of this daytime heating that we're seeing throughout today and yesterday and these past couple of days is being insulated by this layer of clouds, so things aren't being let out of the earth back into space, so it's keeping things pretty warm for us here. Be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're going to look at that rain on the forecast.
Thanks, Emily. 2 children are now safe and their parents are facing child neglect charges for locking the children in a barn. Adoptive parents 63-year-old Donald Lance and 61-year-old Jean Whitefeather of Kanawha County, West Virginia, were arrested on felony charges of gross child neglect, creating substantial risk of injury. Deputies were called onto the scene for a welfare check when they had to force their way into the barn. The children were left without running water or a bathroom. According to WSAZ, a preliminary hearing date has been set for October 12th. The U.S. House of Representatives is in uncharted territory after ousting Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker. Without a speaker, work can't be done on the Hill. Karen Kaifa is in Washington with the latest on the situation.
8 House Republicans standing by their votes to remove Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker and grind congressional business to a halt.
There's a lot of angry people, but I would submit to you, when we get a new leadership in, we're going to be just fine.
The current interim speaker can perform limited functions like recess, adjournment, and preside over the vote for a new permanent speaker, but legislation cannot move.
You can't actually legislate on the House floor right now, so this effectively has frozen the country.
With a new deadline to fund the federal government a little more than 6 weeks away, even some Senate Republicans are concerned about the lower chamber.
To my colleagues in the House, follow your heart, but take your brain with you.
A vote on a new speaker is at least 1 week away, and some House Republicans don't want to see it drawn out.
Having our House adjourned when we should be putting appropriation bills on the floor and getting this country back up and running doesn't help anyone.
A long fight could also unsettle Wall Street. Last week, Moody's warned a government shutdown could prompt it to downgrade U.S. debt, a move that could dent the entire U.S. economy. With a shutdown threat averted last weekend, another looms on November 17th. Democrats watching closely.
A lot of work to be done. We need to move quickly and get this resolved from the chaos in the Republican caucus.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Ohio Republican Representative Jim Jordan is starting his campaign for Speaker of the House as Republican lawmakers scramble to find a new leader. Jordan is the first Republican to say he will run for the position. Jordan says he spoke about his run with House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, the #2 Republican who he is likely to face. Other possible contenders for Speaker include House Majority Whip Tom Emmer and Oklahoma Representative Kevin Hern. As a Speaker candidate, Jim Jordan is already saying he is against an aid package for Ukraine and wants to put the focus on securing the border instead. Coming up on Newswatch, a historic healthcare workers' strike has started. Plus, Pope Francis warns his followers about climate change.
We're anticipating a little bit of rain coming in on Friday and maybe even into Saturday. Find out how this will impact you when Newswatch returns.
There's been a murder.
How long had he worked undercover?
Years. It was like a drug. The risk, the secrecy.
I believe the expression is, follow that cab. You are positively over-familiar with certain members of the team.
I don't know who you are. You're parking up the wrong tree.
We're planning to intercept them tonight.
You betrayed us.
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
I set off alone to a place far away from everything I'd ever known. Welcome.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you for the invitation.
Everyone wants this to be textbook, but it's not.
I really think we should be friends.
Over 200 local newsrooms, over 3,600 journalists, a community of 300 million Americans. The NPR network is listener-supported, independent journalism in communities around the country. It amplifies more voices, more Americas, and takes all of us on new journeys. It takes all of us closer to home. It takes all of us.
We started the so-called bebop movement.
From bebop to hip-hop.
And especially jazz.
Enjoy how the great Max Roach turned the drummer into the lead and his music into a call for civil rights.
We do use the music as a weapon.
Be here when jazz drummer, composer, activist Max Roach reveals how the drum also waltzes.
Max Roach wasn't trying to be anything. He was already it.
On American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Right now, a historic strike is underway. Tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente health care workers have walked off the job in several states. Mike Valerio has the latest.
The largest healthcare workers strike in United States history kicking off Wednesday morning, with more than 75,000 unionized Kaiser Permanente workers walking off the job and walking onto the picket lines.
We have a crisis inside, a staffing crisis that affects us and subsequently affects our patients.
I've seen patients die because of the short staffing, and they wanted us to be quiet about it, and I'm not being quiet anymore.
Respect. More money in our check. The coalition of Kaiser Permanente unions calling for better pay and better staffing, saying in their notification statement to the company that if a deal isn't made by the end of the strike on Saturday, quote, we are prepared to engage in another longer, stronger strike in November.
We have made many proposals to try to solve the Kaiser short staffing, and right now the Kaiser executives are much more interested in their bottom line than providing high quality patient care.
With about 40% of its staff on strike, Kaiser Permanente says it has contingency plans in place so it can continue to provide safe, high-quality care for its 12.7 million members and patients. A spokesperson for the company saying, quote, we have detailed continuity plans in place in all of these markets that include the use of non-represented and management staff along with contingency workers. In addition, all of our physicians will be available. In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
Kaiser Permanente stated this morning that it remains in discussions with a coalition of unions representing striking employees, even as workers walk off the job. The company says there has been a lot of progress and they remain committed to reaching an agreement. For the United Auto Workers strike, General Motors says it cost the company $200 million. This comes 2 weeks after rolling strikes began at GM, Ford, and Stellantis. GM is still fined because it had more than $23 billion of cash on hand as of June 30th. It also reported third quarter car sales 21% higher than the previous year and more vehicles on car lots since 2020. That strong financial position and record profits in 2022 helped spur workers to ask for higher pay. Ford and Stellantis have not reported how much the strike has cost them so far.
Pope Francis is warning followers around the world about climate change. The Pope issued an official declaration about the devastating and irreversible effects of climate change to humanity. The Pope called out big industries, world leaders, and climate change deniers, saying, quote, despite all attempts to deny, conceal, gloss over, or revitalize the issue, the signs of climate change are here and increasingly evident. The Pope further said the world in which we live is collapsing and may be nearing the breaking point. We're now joined by forecaster Emily Dietz, who's here to tell us more about this hot weather. It's fall, Emily. What's going on?
I know. I'm hoping to see some cooler temperatures because, you know, we reached October, leaves are starting to change, and usually you associate that with some sweaters and some jackets, but we're still seeing these hot temperatures. But fortunately for us, things are going to cool down starting this weekend. I don't know if that's good or bad for you, but I know I'm looking forward to it because I'm tired of these hot summer temperatures. And if we take a look at what's going on in Athens right now, it's about 85 outside, so really feeling like those hot summer conditions with those clear skies. A great day to be outside, but also make sure if you're outside on these hot days that you're drinking plenty of water as well. Part of the reason that we're seeing such high temperatures is because all along the East Coast is a lot of high pressure that's been going on, and previously it's been surrounding the entire Ohio area, and that's been allowing for a lot of that sun and a lot of that heat to just really build up over these past couple of days, raising us up into these 80-degree temperatures. Now you may notice some things are starting to spring up a little bit. Out to the west, we have a pretty extensive cold front that's become really well developed. That's got a lot of clouds in front of it, and we're going to see some rain start to develop, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But in the meantime, that cold front is going to be bringing in temperatures in the mid 60s, even into the 50s into this area. So if we take a look at what's going on right now for us, we're in these hot 80-like conditions, and right behind this cold front are those 60s. This is a very clear line of that cooler shift into those more fall-like conditions. Now this evening, we're anticipating an overnight low of about 60 degrees with those partly cloudy skies. So those clouds are going to hold in some of that daytime heating that we've been seeing recently. And tomorrow will be fairly similar to today. We're anticipating an 82-degree high with an overnight low of 59. That's mainly because we have those clouds again. We'll start seeing those in the afternoon times a little bit, becoming more dense. And that's also why we see that 30% chance of showers possible. So those 30% are going to be in the really late evening time. So if you have any sports games to get to, you should be fine if you're in the early evening, but if you get to the later evening, you may want to pack a jacket and an umbrella. Now tomorrow we're still going to be seeing just the slight edge of that high pressure, but for the most part this cold front is going to be really well developed. If we take a look behind it, there's even another cold front behind it, and that's going to keep on pushing into this area. If we take a closer look at that, that's going to start to merge up a little bit together over the next couple of days. So tomorrow night those become closer and this front really intensifies. So what's happening is we have a lot of warm weather going on right in this area now, and as this cold front moves in, it forces all of this warm weather with a little bit of that moisture to rise up, forming a lot of these clouds in this rain-like condition right along this frontal system. And Friday we're really anticipating the system coming right over our region. So it's going to be a rainy day. It's going to be a little bit on the chillier side, and since this cold front won't have completely passed on Friday, we're still anticipating slightly warmer temperatures. We'll still be going down about 10 degrees into the 70s, so it'll be a bit cooler, more of those fall-like days, but very rainy, so make sure you pack that umbrella, pack that raincoat. It's going to be a cloudy day. But for Saturday, if you're hoping to look at those homecoming festivities, we have a parade going on, we have a football game, a lot of things going on. We're looking at that 40% chance of showers in the early morning times as that cold front continues to make its way through, but it will be a chilly, chilly day, so pack a jacket if you're planning on heading outside at all. A high of 58, and for the first time in, I think, since the spring, we're going to see temperatures overnight in the 30s.
It can be a struggle to keep kids motivated and for them to get enough physical activity each day, with video games, TV, and other devices being huge distractions. Physical activity is an integral part of kids' health. Mandy Gaither has 4 simple ways to get kids to move more.
60 minutes every day. That's how much physical activity is recommended for kids and teens between the ages of 6 and 17. It may seem like a lot, but it doesn't have to be all at once.
We know kids do better in school, they sleep better, their mood's better, and it can just be a lot of fun to move.
Dr. Adam Keating with Cleveland Clinic says some kids may be motivated to move through sports, but others may need a little help. His first tip, to remember there are different ways to keep kids active.
Everything from going on a family walk, to walking the dog, to vacuuming, to having a dance party in the middle of your living room.
Playing on a playground or PE at school also counts as physical activity time. Keating says it's also important to be a good role model.
Kids want to spend time with their parents, whether they say so or not. And so being a good example and joining in the activity with the kids generally makes it much more rewarding for everybody.
While it's important to limit screens, Keating says offer that screen time as a reward for physical activity.
The child can earn another 30 minutes of screen time by doing 30 minutes of activity.
Finally, find activities they enjoy. It can be a variety of things so the child doesn't get bored.
Making it fun rather than a chore, and finding different creative ways to be able to work some physical activity in the day can be helpful.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Keating says age-appropriate chores can also be a physical activity. For example, raking leaves, cleaning the room, or washing the car can also get the kids moving.
Coming up in sports, an Ohio athlete has been making it rain when it comes to name, image, and likeness. And for the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
As a Beatle, John Lennon belonged to the world. Now American Masters tells us the intimate story of how he found himself.
Being John Lennon.
John would often say, I should have been born in New York City.
The greatest place on earth. One of my biggest kicks is doing things I couldn't do when I was, in the middle of the Beatles stuff.
Meet the John Lennon Few New in Lennon, NYC.
Just try, okay?
Only on American Masters.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
This is for you.
You got grit, I can tell you're never gonna quit. No, not even for a split second. Counting all your blessings. You got personality like Christmas got his presents, and I like it. Yeah.
I always want to create something that's gonna mean something.
That's fabulous. And I like it. Yeah.
Dare me to do something.
Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing. I like it. Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing.
I really want to show the world how beautiful our culture is.
There was more similarities than differences.
It makes us happy. It makes us feel good.
Yeah. So spread those golden wings, we're gonna shine like the stars. Got the
It is part of our unique story, all of us together.
This is our special time.
I like it.
Salute!
Honey, gotta do your thing.
We're going intergalactic.
Don't stop, honey.
We're gonna make memories.
I like it.
Saturday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Grant Kiefer. Name, image, and likeness, NIL for short, has taken over the landscape of college athletics, and as of late, in Ohio's very own, McKenna Schaefer has inked some notable deals right here in Athens. When most think of NIL, they think of the star football player or the show-stopping basketball player. But Ohio Volleyball's McKenna Schaefer has created a path of her own with NIL, but was surprised at how simple the process was.
Like, post something in it on your Instagram story, and we'll get from that I'll get a free shirt or a free pair of shorts. And I just thought it was a little thing, but it was really cool because I was okay, free stuff. I thought that was cool, and I was also promoting their brand, getting them followers and stuff, and then also showing other athletes that they can do NIL as well, and it's really easy and it's not hard to do.
McKenna has been signing a high volume of deals, but there's one that particularly catches the eye. She was picked up by Ohio's apparel outfitter Adidas last spring, a deal which includes posting pictures in Adidas outfits, which has helped her content on social media.
You know what, Adidas is great, I'm just gonna go for it. So I signed up for that, and they were you got in, and I was okay, cool. So basically they contact you and are here are the rules, regulations, you read through that, make sure everything's good. For Adidas, since it was through Ohio University, we're allowed to use the logo and stuff, so they were basically you can post media day pictures and with Adidas logos, or you can post stuff while playing volleyball, or you could post in normal clothing, active clothing wear, Adidas shirts, shorts. So I was this is a really big opportunity because I have a lot of content I can use, so that was really cool. I was just posting a lot for that.
McKenna is focused on the future as well, as she knows the weight of being able to market herself.
I think it's going to help a lot. On resumes, I can put okay, I did this for this brand or this for this brand, and I think that'll be attractive to companies as to okay, she knows how to present herself on social media.
While McKenna knows NIL is popularized by the top athletes and TikTok stars, she likes to see the everyday college athlete taking advantage of the space.
Cool to see people I know personally into NIL. That's not okay, it's not the huge football players or the girls who have taken off and gone viral on TikTok or whatever. So I would say definitely the middle ground of it, the people like me, it's good to see people taking advantage of that, because it's we can also participate in that, and we don't have to take off and get famous, and we're still going to get success from that.
Reporting for Bobcat Showcase, Grant Kiefer, WOUB. Schaefer and the Bobcats are back in action this week, and you can watch them right here in Athens. Ohio Volleyball hosts 2 matches heading into the weekend, with the first tomorrow night at the Convo against Northern Illinois. The Bobcats are hot right now, winning 3 of their last 4 games to give themselves a 3-1 start in MAC play. First serve will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, which is part of a big weekend in Ohio athletics. Start homecoming weekend, the Ohio soccer team hosts the Toledo Rockets tomorrow afternoon. Ohio has won 2 of its last 3 to rebound after a slow start to the season, but has not won at home since August 24th against Cleveland State. Kickoff is at 4 o'clock tomorrow and can be seen on ESPN+. Let's send it back to you.
Still after the break, how one man from Rhode Island decorates his home for Halloween. Stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Elon Musk has one rule: never be constrained by the rules.
He considers that internet world a battleground where anything is fair game.
I thought he'd be a good owner. I thought he could get stuff done.
Since Musk took over, what would you say your main findings have been?
Number one, I would say harassment has increased.
I really can't emphasize this enough. We must protect free speech.
Define free speech. Where are the limits and what are the trade-offs?
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help give back this month by donating your used car, truck, RV, or boat to our station. Donating is easy and it's tax deductible. Just call this toll-free number, schedule your free pickup, we'll tow it and give you a donation receipt. Can't donate a car? Spread the word by telling your friends or family and using the hashtag Cartober2023. Learn more by calling this toll-free number or visiting us online.
It was a moment of madness.
It was the sanest thing I've ever done.
You have only known him a week.
Looks like paradise. I'll never stop loving you.
Who I am or who I was.
Call me Annika.
It looks like you put up a fight.
I always get to the truth.
You can no longer sit by and say, this isn't my problem.
It's not easy to do what we do.
Every skeleton we find adds more knowledge of his system of repression.
Nos encontramos en presencia de otro terrorismo, el del Estado.
A través de la reconstrucción de la vida de una persona, contribuimos a esta justicia.
There's a lack of accountability. In some cases, there's cover-up.
También tenemos que poner nuestro grano de arena para que esto salga a la luz.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, Halloween is almost here and decorating is in full swing. A Rhode Island man goes above and beyond, displaying about 1,000 pumpkins on his front yard. While many decorate for fall, Tim Perry takes it to another level. For 15 years, 365 days a year, he's carving craft pumpkins using an X-Acto knife. They come out of the storage at the start of autumn, with typically 200 a year added to his collection. He takes a week off of work, wiring them all, then bolting them to a base. The house of more than 1,000 pumpkins is one of a kind and not only brightens the spirits of others who see it, but helping families affected by cancer through a Facebook fundraiser. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how it would feel to have 1,000 pumpkins in my yard.
So here's my deal, okay? He does it 365 days a year. I can barely touch pumpkin guts like one day out of the year. Honestly. Nonetheless, like every single day. Like, oh.
Well, and he makes like 200 in a year. Like, that's an insane productivity rate.
What happens to the ones that he carves in February or March?
Exactly. That's a lot of storage you have to deal with too.
X-Acto
It's crazy.
I don't know, not for me.
Yeah, well, tonight will be a good night for carving pumpkins. If you want to sit outside and do it, we'll have an overnight low of 60 with partly cloudy skies, so a couple spooky vibes out there for this Halloween season coming up in October. But tomorrow, it's not really going to feel like Halloween or October. We're expecting a high of 82 with another overnight low in the upper 50s, about 59 expected. And we're looking at a lot of cloud coverage tomorrow as well. 30% chance of showers possible in the really late evening hours, excuse me. So tomorrow we're going to see that cold front really start to develop, really start to push in, and by Friday, that's going to be impacting us down here in southeast Ohio with a lot of clouds, and we're anticipating a full day of rain. So at 70% chance of showers, temperatures are going to drop a little bit from those clouds and that rain-cooled air, about 72. And Saturday, if you're anticipating any homecoming festivities, it will be a chilly day on Saturday.
Thanks, Emily. That does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching.
And for Emily Dietz and Grant Kiefer, I'm Haley Hollinger. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org.